two last points. One is the last like 5 people I've hired, several people on my team have had billion-dollar exits. Everyone is double my age. Most people last few people I've hired have kids my age or older. It's really bizarre, and you got to work through it, and that's why having advisors is so important, I believe. And the last thing is when you start a company, I think it's really easy to just pick someone, a good friend, and say, let's go 50-50 on this, and let's get this thing off the ground. But I think you got to think it through, because if you have a friend you're starting a company with, you want to make sure you thought about it ahead of time. I think co-CEOs is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
And lastly, I think
worst thing ever.
It's a phrase that comes up: don't hire somebody you can't fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Like yeah. The last, the very last point is when you're splitting up responsibilities, if you're going to raise capital, somebody should be responsible for that, and it should be your CEO. But that is a job in itself. So do that.
I'm going to say do not start it with your friend. You will not end friends. It will go bad. Things will go south. You'll hate each other, and your friendship will be over. Take 10 years to overheal, and when you try and sell it or do anything, you have to go get a signature on something. So don't do it with your friends. It sounds like, he nailed it. And learn how to fire people. The hardest thing for me was I was a guy everybody liked, and the guy over there who knows me in the corner knows I'm not the guy everybody liked anymore. And that's just a big jump to go from being like getting everyone excited and you're everyone's buddy to being the boss. And third, everything Matt said, but one guy, one girl, one boss. That's it. One person's in charge. They divvy up the work. They find people out of it. But you're the brand, but one person in charge. It's the only way it works.
If you're unable to get a couple people excited enough about your idea to join you, it's a gut check to say one of two things. Either I got to seriously change my pitch, but the more common solution is maybe I'm just living a pipe dream here and this isn't a good idea, which is fine. There's a million ideas out there. Just move on to something else and start pitching that thing. And eventually you'll find something that kind of strikes some excitement with people.
We go into cities, no one knows us. And I'll tell you the story of the founder. So this company was founded by MIT Media Lab folks. They used to stand outside and they do some parties in Boston, got their friends to throw some parties to get those first 10 people, get those first 50, those first 100, etc. I'll just say this on online communities, there are a lot of ways to do it. And there's the one thing you want to get good, and there's a lot of reading materials out there. There's a million ways to drive people to the site. You'll actually figure that part out. The part that takes time and effort to learn is once they're there, how do they tell 10 friends? You get that part down, you only need to get 5 people through the door because they're going to spread the gospel like that. That's a very different problem than getting your first retail customer, which I had to do with my first company, your first mobile customer, and how you go pitch that story. But the lesson on the community side in terms of growth is when they hit your door, they got to bring you 5 other people. That's the piece you got to get.
I don't think that all products are necessarily viral. So it really starts with understanding what your product is and who your users are. It's really a couple of ways to acquire users online. It's either through viral effects, if it is a viral product like Facebook or MySpace, for example, SEO or search engine optimization, or SEM or paid advertising. Those are probably the only 3 scalable ways to acquire users online. Sure, viral growth is fantastic because you get users for free. It's explosive, but yet certainly not all products are like that. And with My Happy Planet, for example, our initial thesis was that this would be a viral product because it is also a social networking site. But what we found out later on is, so initially when we started, we seeded certain language learning groups in universities. So our target was young people, high social networking affinity, love learning languages. We tried to find them in the different schools, and we thought that would just spread virally. But what we learned over time is the relationships on our site are really one-to-one. So I'm practicing with you versus one-to-many, like it is on most other social networking sites. And how people find language resources is really through search, right? You type free English lesson, and then you see all these things that pop up because of their great SEO efforts. What we then learned is, hey, we need to switch from trying to turn this into a viral site, which it is not, into really focusing more on search-related marketing. So it really ultimately depends on what your product is and who your users are and how they find products in the space that you're in.
Yeah, but I didn't say our product was viral. I just said whoever touches your site has to tell 5 people.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether it be your first mobile client, whether you get Yahoo as a customer, whether you get GM if they're around as a customer, whoever it is, if it's best, well, I don't know who's going to be around in 5 years, but whoever those first people you touch, they have to tell 5 people, no matter what your product is. So you got to find evangelists, early people, or make it so they are an evangelist without even potentially knowing it. That's my point.
The other thing is just, it's a lot of times it's just like a lot of hard work of getting in front of people's faces. You know, don't go for the million people right away. As Evan said, go for like the 50 evangelists that are going to start you out. So, my first company, there's this pipe dream that's been built up by Silicon Valley and the press and stuff, that you launch something and all of a sudden becomes massively viral and explosive, right? The Facebook, the MySpaces of the world. It's all bullshit. Facebook started out by spamming the entire user base of Harvard.
Yeah.
MySpace started out with like 1 million email addresses from something, from some other company that they had.
And a guy flogging to rock bands in LA.
Yeah.
Come use my site to promote your shit.
Yeah, absolutely. High Five or Bebo started out off of having like 1 million email addresses in. And there's a common thread there, spam. But, I'm not recommending that. But so for my first company, our social network, we tried a ton of things. We tried online advertising, whatever. We were marketing the social network specifically to college students. It was a college-specific social network. The best thing that we found worked is that we would go out at 2 a.m. one night and just chalk the sidewalk of the campuses with our website name on it. So a student could not get to school without seeing our name at least 4 or 5 times. So by the time they got to class, they were like, what the hell is this? And we did that once at our own campus, and within 24 hours, we had signed up 1,500 users, which was way more than we ever did before. So what did we do? We went to all the Targets and Kmart's in the area. We bought every single piece of chalk that we could possibly find. And we went on a road tour around to all the Midwestern schools and slept in our cars and chalked the campuses every single night. And to the point that I got ran out of Notre Dame because Notre Dame and apparently Catholics don't like you chalking their campus with the name Party Campus on their sidewalk. So look, it's a lot of hard work. So at Viximo, what do we do with our creators? We have the same problem, chicken and the egg, creators, publishers. We actually host what we call vodka and art parties at our office, where we just invite a bunch of creative people from the Boston area. They come, they drink, we tell them a little bit about Viximo, they meet other creators, and through that we've created some serious evangelists that just think we're doing something cool, and we just leverage them in every way we possibly can.
The name of Brian's autobiography is going to be Talking to Campus.
Yeah. If you're doing anything targeted at college students, I guarantee you that is the best way to promote. It'll cost you $5 a campus.
It's just finding people. It's just the Maven thing. Just find people who want to be famous. Just find people who want to tell other people about whatever it is they find. With those pots and pans, when I was tracking shipments around the world, I found 2 customers that wanted to get a promotion in their job, so they were going to tell everyone that they got into this cool new company that had great new technology. The mobile company was a mobile marketing manager who wanted to get a VP job at another company, so he was like the first guy to hop in, and then he'd tell everybody, and he'd go in the press and spread the word for us, tell all his friends he wanted to be famous. And then when we did the consumer thing here with Going, we enter a city like Los Angeles where no one knows us. We find people with a mouthpiece. So you find people with groups of people that follow them. We go to the big nightlife promoter. We tell them, use our site. We'll trade you some advertising, or we just buy our way into it. And he blasts his 10,000 person list who want to find out where to go tonight. And they use our site and brings all those people to our site. And then it takes off from there. So the common thread, find someone or people who just want to tell the world about whatever they think is cool.
In LA, the analogy is that we're making independent films, kind of pseudo-underground, at $3 million, $3 to $5 million range. And we call them doctor dentist movies because you get a couple of doctors and dentists who, late in their career, a lot of money. They just want to see their name up, produced by George Schwartz. And no, seriously. And so you get a half a dozen of these guys that throw in $500,000 a piece, you produce a movie. And direct to video, it's a really good profit margin. But that's all. It's people who want to be famous. They want to see their name up on the big screen, produced by
Mavens.
George.
Mavens, man. Mavens and ego.
Yep.